What's going on, guys? It's Ken. I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to be doing an end of the year video for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general. Just kind of going over what happened this year and kind of forecasting and predicting maybe some things that can happen for 2025. So, first off, none of this is financial advice. I'm not going to be telling you guys what you should do or what you should buy. I'm not going to be showing you any BS coins. I'm just going to be going over the facts, the data. Who's calling? I'm going to be going over the facts, the data, what has happened, and what I think is possible for the next year. So, first off, 2024 has been a very interesting year. There's been things that have happened that have never happened before. For example, it put in a new high before the halving, all right? We've never seen this happen before throughout all of Bitcoin's history, and that kind of brought the idea of a left translated cycle peak. I don't know if that's going to happen. Basically, what a left translated cycle peak is the peak of the cycle happens way before people expect. There's this obviously there's this 4-year cycle theory, which has played out every cycle. So if you go back to 2013, we got the peak. When did we get the peak? We got the peak November 2013. 4 years later, we got a peak December 2017. 4 years later, technically we got the peak November 2021. Now, you can argue April 2021 was the significant top. That's when a lot of indicators flashed. But price action is king. And technically, the top was in November 2021. A lot of people didn't expect the top to be only 68K. But that was the top. Now, this cycle, we got a new all-time high in March, or was it March or was it February? I believe it was the end of February, early March. Pretty much the same thing, but it was before the halving, which was interesting. Now, a lot of people thought the price would explode after the halving, but as you can see, after the local top in March, Bitcoin kind of went sideways and bled for 9 months. Was it 9 months or 7? Let's see. March until about September. So it's about 25 weeks, half of a year. We knew that the price would pretty much go sideways and bleed for around 6, 7 months, 8 months. I mean, technically, it didn't put in a new high until October. So October, early November. So you could say also that it was 33 weeks. 33 weeks is about 9 months. 8 months, 9 months, if I'm not mistaken. So we had that little cool-off period, and that's what led the next rally going into 100K. Now, the question is, and a lot of people won't want to hear this, but is this it for the cycle? Is this 107K the top for the cycle? Personally, I don't think it is. I think next year Bitcoin will see some more upside, but I do think that this could be the start of a decent sized correction. Now, technically, this is weekly candles, by the way. If we look at this correction that we saw this year, if you bring it from the top and go to the bottom, I'm just going to do this. Bitcoin saw, when you include wicks, it's 32%. But if you only include daily closes, Bitcoin has not seen a 30% correction in almost 800 days. I'm not sure if it hit 800 yet, but it's close to 800 days, which sounds crazy, but it's true. Before this time, the longest was like 300 in the 300s. But yeah, if you only look at daily closes, even this 7-month 9 month, whatever it was, cool off period from March until November, it only went down 26% when accounting for daily closes. So we are due for a 30% correction. I don't know when it's going to come. This could be the start of it. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times in January, Bitcoin sees a correction. If we go back to 2021, and 2021 is going to be the year to compare 2025 to, most likely. And I say that because it's the post halving year. If you go back to January 2021, Bitcoin did see a decently sized correction. If you take it from the wicks on weekly candles, it was a 30% correction. But if you actually go to the daily time frame, I don't know if it was 30% when accounting for daily closes. Let's check right now. We got to zoom in a little bit. Only looking at daily closes and no wicks, it was a 25% correction. So, I mean, January did see it. It's possible that we see it again. Let's look at 2017, because I'm pretty sure we did have one in 2017. Yeah, look at this. 2017, January, Bitcoin also saw a correction. So that was a 31% correction, only accounting for daily closes. Now, part of the reason could be because it's a new year after the election. Also, it could be because of tax purposes going into the new year. So it's very likely that we do see at least a 20% correction around the January mark. And obviously the correction already started. You know, the top was December 17th. Funny enough, it was at the Fed meeting. So was it at the Fed meeting or before it? Tuesday, December 17th. So that was the day before the Fed meeting. And then obviously there was a lot of volatility. Wednesday, December 18th, the day of the actual FOMC meeting. But currently right now, when you take wicks into account, the correction has been 15%. If we only account for daily closes, if we want to see where 30% goes, 30% isn't all the way down until it says 74K. You guys can't see that because of the face cam, but it's 74K. Ironically, it is around where the 20-week SMA is, but remember that this 20-week SMA is moving up every day, or every week, I should say, because it's a 20-week moving average. So it's going to be interesting to see if Bitcoin ends up going down to this 20-week SMA. And guys, remember, 74K seems crazy to think, but you guys got to remember, I mean, back in early November, the price was only at 80K. So I think a lot of people tend to forget where the price was just a month ago or a couple weeks ago. I mean, even remember, guys, November 11th was a little bit over a month ago. So can't forget that. So if I had to guess, we will get a correction going into or around the January time frame. Like I said, a 30% correction is due. I'm not going to say when it's going to happen because nobody knows. It's possible that the correction is done and Bitcoin just keeps putting in new highs before we get it. But a 30% correction is due. Okay, that's something I'll be looking out for. Like I said, watch for this 20-week SMA because Bitcoin will eventually go back to it and retest it, even though it's constantly moving up. The question is, does Bitcoin kind of chop around and go sideways into it? Or does it just go straight down to it? That's going to be something to look out for. Now, when it comes to this left translated cycle theory, like I said, it's possible, but I think it's more likely that we just get a correction and then Bitcoin kind of puts in new highs going into next year. It's something that's more likely to happen, and it's also, if we get a correction sooner than later, it's more healthy for the market rather than the market just keep going up, because then price won't be sustainable. Take a look at ETH. ETH is currently being traded at 3,300, just under 3,400. It's been struggling. Keeps getting rejected at this 4,100 mark. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Even if you overlay Bitcoin, I mean, look at this. You can just see the difference in strength. Like, this move up for ETH translated to a new high for Bitcoin. I mean, look at this move up for Bitcoin. And then ETH couldn't even get past the high from March. So ETH has definitely been struggling. I'm not really surprised. I wasn't really surprised from this time frame, but more recently I've been a little more concerned about ETH, because like 2022, 2023, I didn't expect ETH to really outperform Bitcoin and do that well. But more recently, in the past couple months, it's been a little bit more concerning. Looking at ETH Bitcoin, I made a video recently talking about ETH Bitcoin, saying that hopefully, or it's at least possible that this is the bottom. Hopefully, ETH is kind of just putting in a double bottom right here, because if it is, it's definitely going to be bullish for the ETH Bitcoin pair. That's what you want to see on these Bitcoin pairs. You want to see these alt Bitcoin pairs put in double bottoms. That's how they kind of explode. I mean, going back to 2019, that's what Ethereum did, right? Put in a double bottom, and then it was off to the races. That's what you want to see. Even look at XRP Bitcoin. Look at this double bottom, right? Double bottom, boom, it exploded. That's really where the story was for XRP. If you look at XRP USD, there's nothing here that would have told you like, oh, the price was about to just explode from 50 cents all the way to $2.50. But if you look at XRP Bitcoin, this double bottom told the story. So that's what you want to look for. And if this bottom in November is not the bottom, I think the bottom's close. If it's going to put in a new low, I think it's going to happen in the next couple weeks. One thing that's just concerning is that it got rejected from the 20-week SMA back in early December. So that was a little concerning to me, but it's kind of bounced off this level at 0.034. So hopefully it can hold that and keep moving up going into next year. But let's see what it does. If we take a look at 2021, what did ETH Bitcoin do in January of the post-halving years? What did it do? All right, let's go to 2021. January, boom. It went up. It had a good rally. This first week in January 2021, it went up about 50%. Right? 2022, it didn't really do the same thing and went down. But what about 2023? Didn't really go up. Let's go back in time though. So we know 2021 January ETH Bitcoin had a good rally. 2020 January ETH Bitcoin, it went up. It didn't really explode, but it went up. Let's go to 2019. What did it do in 2019? Well, January 2019, the first week it actually went down. 2018, ETH Bitcoin actually went up. It had a good rally. The reason back then was because Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure, was retracing, so that was when Ethereum topped. But even if we go to 2017, let's take a look at 2017. January, Ethereum had a strong rally. So basically, in the past two post-halving years for Ethereum, not Ethereum's halving, Bitcoin's halving, they're still considered the post-halving years. But in 2017, in January 2017, January 2021, Ethereum had a good rally. It was strong. So it might be safe to assume that January 2025, ETH Bitcoin is going to have a rally. And it makes sense because I do expect ETH Bitcoin to bottom out in the next, guys, 2025 starts in 2 days. So if the bottom's not in for ETH Bitcoin, it's probably going to happen in the next couple of days or the next week or two, the latest. That's my prediction. I still think this could be the bottom. This bottom back in mid-November, I think that's probably going to be the bottom, most likely. But ETH Bitcoin has to get back above this 20-week SMA in order to look strong again. I mean, not only because of that, just because it's gotten rejected in early December. It looks like there's a little bit of resistance over here. So at like the 0.039, 0.04 level. So if ETH Bitcoin can get above this 20-week SMA and this 0.04 level and hold it, that's going to look really good. This coming January might be the month that it does it. And, I do think ETH is going to do better in 2025. I've been saying for years now, literally for years, ever since here in 2022, Ethereum is not going to outperform Bitcoin. You're better off holding Bitcoin. Even this move, this move was going into the merge, even the merge for Ethereum didn't put in a new high. I mean, think about how bad that looks for Ethereum. And I'm not knocking Ethereum. I think it's the best coin besides Bitcoin. I think it is. I mean, it's the second largest market cap. I like Ethereum. I own Ethereum. It's my second largest holding. But it doesn't change the fact of what the truth is, what the facts are. And the facts is that look at what ETH Bitcoin did. It just bled. Let's ignore this. I'm going to be a little nicer to you ETH maxis. Let's take it from this top in September 22 where the merge was. ETH Bitcoin is down 57% from then. If you had just held Bitcoin, whatever amount that would be, you would have 60% more, that's significant. I mean, if you're talking about thousands of dollars, it's a lot of money you wasted holding ETH, Something you got to consider when you hold crypto. I mean, even look at XRP Bitcoin. Look, I've been a fan of XRP for a long time. It's cheap to move, it's fast, but at the end of the day, I mean, what has it really done? There's been times when it obviously outperformed Bitcoin. It's done great. I mean, going back to 2017, it went up 100% against Bitcoin back then. But, I mean, look at where XRP Bitcoin is now. It's where it was back in 2023, 2022, 2021. It was at this level in 2017, 2015, 2014. So what are these altcoins really doing? Are they really taking over the market, or are they just oscillators at best against Bitcoin? That's why when it comes to these altcoins, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to be Bitcoin heavy, because if you're just holding, let's say, XRP forever, is your portfolio really... You always got to think about your portfolio Satoshi valuation. That's the most important thing. And you can't really argue that, because if your crypto coins aren't outperforming Bitcoin, then what's the point of holding them? Obviously, if anybody were to just get into XRP for the first time right here in the week of November 4th, obviously they're not complaining because they're up 232% against Bitcoin in less than 2 months. But who's really timing that correctly? You know what I'm saying? Only 1% of people, maybe even less, are going to time it exact. So that's why you got to be careful with these altcoins. But this video is not about XRP and about bashing altcoins. Obviously, there's times when you can make a lot of money holding altcoins, but you got to know when to hold them. I think 2025 will be the best year to generally hold altcoins ever since, let's say 2021 or the last all season, but we have not seen an all season yet. You can't say that we've had an all season when Bitcoin dominance is where it is. I mean, Bitcoin dominance is not when it's at 57%. This move down by Bitcoin dominance is not an all season. All season is when you get Bitcoin dominance completely falling off a cliff, right? That's what you want to see for an all season. And I think 2025 will be the year for that, So we got to look out for that. Bitcoin dominance hit 60%. That's what we were waiting for. The 60, personally, I think 60% was a good target because 70% would have been a better target if it wasn't for the amount of money that's in stable coins. The amount of money that's in stable coins is most likely what was holding Bitcoin dominance back from going up to like 65%, 70%. But then again, it's always possible that Bitcoin dominance hasn't topped yet. It's always possible. You don't want to say anything's impossible. I think it's very likely that Bitcoin dominance has already topped, but that's something else to look forward to going into 2025. Let's take a look at Total 3. Everything excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Total 3, did it put in a new high? The high was 1.16 trillion, 1.13. Yeah, so it put in it barely put in a new high, Total 3, but it's pretty much a double top so far. Total 2, same thing. Total 2 actually did not put in a new high, which kind of shows Ethereum's weakness, to be honest. Total did put in a new high. Right now it's at 3.22 trillion. So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to look out for though is to really see what Bitcoin's going to do going into January, and also what ETH Bitcoin is going to do going into January. I think it's possible, like I said, ETH Bitcoin has bottomed. But then again, you always got to take into account what the Fed is doing. This last Fed meeting was a pretty big meeting because the SEP they're predicting that the Fed's only going to do 2 rate cuts instead of 4, which really caught people by surprise. If the Fed only cuts twice next year, the market's not going to like that. Obviously they're trying to battle inflation. There's these inflation fears. If inflation starts to reaccelerate, that's going to be a problem for the stock market and risk assets in general. Let's look at the S&P real quick. And the reason why I'm showing this is because this is going to play a role in what Bitcoin does. The S&P, ever since that Fed meeting, it is down from the high back in early December. S&P is down 3%. Interestingly enough, though, if we bring that back, simple moving average, I'm going to take the 20-week SMA. Let's do 20. I want to see source close type SMA. No, we don't want to do that. Time frame chart. All right, let's do 1 week, right? So we get the 20-week moving average. The S&P tends to kind of follow the 20-week moving average and bounce off of it. So right now it's very close to going back to it. It's going to be interesting to see if it holds the 20-week. Usually when you get corrections below the 20-week, it gets more concerning. Over here, it closed on it. It opened below it, but then got right back above it. So it's going to be interesting to see going into the new year if it holds the 20-week. But, I mean, before I wrap this video up, let's just see how Bitcoin did 2024. So if we go to the first day of 2024, January 1st, hope I can zoom out far enough. Yeah, so just measure this out. Actually, you know what? It's going to be hard to get the exact day. January 1st. We want to get the open of the candle. Bitcoin's currently up 123% for the year, right? The year ends in about 2 days. So 123%, hey, you know, I think a lot of people will consider that a win. You know, like I said, 2024 has been a pretty interesting year. We saw a new all-time high before the halving. Even 2023 was a pretty good year too. I mean, if we go to the first week of January, $160% 2023. So pretty interesting. But I'm gonna wrap up the video here. I'll probably make another Bitcoin video some point early January, maybe next week. But I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about the market going into next year. I don't want to make the video too long. We're already at like 26 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed though. If you guys have any questions or any thoughts or concerns, let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.